Well, guys, after reviewing every Batman movie to you, we have now come to the end of the best trilogy of all time, at least in my opinion. This is going to be another classic movie review for you guys, and this is going to be my review for the 2012 um, drama epic The Dark Knight Rises. Yes, finally, I finished the trilogy. I can't believe I finished it as quickly as I did. Honestly, I didn't think I'd finish it as quickly as I did. Now, something to know about this movie. Prior to me watching all the Batman movies, this was the only Batman movie I had seen. At least in this trilogy. I had seen, like, Batman Forever before, but this is the only one I had seen, and I remember I really didn't like it, probably because I didn't understand it. I didn't really understand it, and I didn't really think much about it. I didn't review movies back then either. Like, I was very weird. That's, like, when I started my reviews. Like, this was basically, think back to my very first top 10 list I ever did. This was included, and I don't even know why. Seriously, I don't even know why. The Amazing Spider-Man was included. That's how much I didn't care about movies. Seriously. That's how much I didn't care. But I decided I have to rewatch it because I'm loving this trilogy. I need to see how it ended, and overall, what did I think of The Dark Knight Rises? Again, it's a masterpiece. And it's really hard for me to decide if this is better than Dark Knight or not. I'm definitely go in between the two because there are actually a lot of things that I think do make this movie better than The Dark Knight. But in my opinion, Dark Knight is a better movie overall. But then there are things here that I'm like, you know what, maybe The Dark Knight Rises is better. I'm really not sure which one is better, guys. I probably have to watch them a few more times to decipher which one's better. So I can't really say, which one I think is better. But both of these movies are absolutely amazing. And in my opinion, this is the perfect conclusion to the trilogy. A lot of people actually don't like this movie, and I'm not really sure why. First of all, this movie is by far the best plot out of all the movies in the Dark Knight trilogy. Let's get to the plot of this movie, which is just awesome. I love the plot to The Dark Knight Rises. As we know in The Dark Knight, Batman basically framed himself as the person that killed Harvey Dent, and basically he has now gone into hiding, and he's hiding from, like, all the world, basically, and he's still living with Alfred and everything, and he's not really motivated. He's really wounded, and the entire town basically is wounded. I mean, Gotham's at its worst, crime's at its highest, and there's this new criminal, Bane, who basically wants to turn Gotham into an all-out war zone, like all-out war. He wants to turn the police against the criminals, so there's an all-out war going on there. And basically, when Bruce finds out about this, basically he is motivated by Bane to basically rise again and take down Bane, and we have to see if he can really do that. And that basically is the plot of The Dark Knight Rises. And honestly, that is an awesome plot. Honestly, I love the plot of this movie. Really, I do. And there are a lot of things that I absolutely love about this movie. One of the reasons why I can't really decipher if I like this more than The Dark Knight is because they're such different movies. The Dark Knight was a heist movie. This is definitely more of an emotional movie, and it's much longer as well. It went by really fast, though, but it's a much more emotional movie, and it's the final movie as well, so I can't really compare the two. But let's get into the acting, because the acting obviously is amazing. Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne, this is by far his best performance as Bruce Wayne. Honestly, he is fantastic in this movie. You really feel the worst for him in this movie. I mean, you felt really bad for him in Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, but in this one, you feel the worst for him because no one's really upset that Batman's not there. I mean, no one's really upset that he's gone. Some people are, but a lot of people are just like, you know what? Batman was a criminal, and they don't really care that he was gone. And he's not really looked at as a hero anymore. He's kind of looked at as this vigilante now, and he really doesn't have much motivation to go back into being Batman. You really see him go through that, and I think it was really interesting to see that happen to him. I mean, after everything he's worked for, it pretty much was destroyed, and it really sucks that he's gone through this, and then seeing him eventually, turn into Batman when it's pretty much like the first movie. When he finally gets back in the Batman suit, it really feels like this triumphant moment for him, a big return. I absolutely love that. It's like one more time we got to see him as Batman, and that was awesome. I thought he did an amazing job in this movie, and he was just fantastic. Michael Caine is Alfred. This is by far Michael Caine's best performance. Oh my god. Alfred almost made me cry in this movie because Alfred is doing whatever he can to help out Bruce, and to the point where he really doesn't want to see Bruce near him anymore. He doesn't want to know if Bruce is alive, what's going on with him. He wants Bruce to move on with his life, and he's not exactly happy when he decides to be Batman again. He just wants him to move on because he knows the danger, and there's that amazing scene, of course, we all know that amazing scene where he finally tells Bruce about, and this isn't a spoiler because we knew was going to happen, he finally tells Bruce about, Rachel's letter and everything, and he's crying. I mean, it's such an amazing scene, and he just did such a fantastic job in that scene. He's actually not in the movie as much as you think. He's much more in the first half of the movie than he is in the second half, but he's one of the key parts of this movie. He has one of the most memorable scenes in the movie. I almost cried during his scenes. I mean, he is just, he pretty much steals the show from everyone. Michael Caine was fantastic in this movie. Really, he was amazing. Really, he was. Gary Oldman as, Commissioner Gordon. I think this is probably his best role as well, because here's the thing. Commissioner Gordon now has to think, can I trust Batman? He still has that whole, is Batman a criminal? Is he telling the truth? Did he actually do this? Because, of course, he didn't know if Batman actually killed Harvey Dent or not. And I thought that was really interesting to see him go through this. And for most of the movie, he actually gets hurt from a criminal, and he's in the hospital, and he's really contemplating what's going on, but I think Gary Oldman did a fantastic job with that, and he was amazing in the movie. New addition to the movie is Anne Hathaway as Selena Kyle, and this is how Selena Kyle should have been portrayed in, Batman Returns. Seriously, the way she portrayed here, I love it, because she's not she's not a villain in this movie. She's not, and I think it's one of the first times I have not seen Selena Kyle portrayed as a villain, and it's fantastic. She's more helping Batman than anything. She wants to help the city. She pretty much wants to do what Batman does, and she's kind of taken over for Batman. I mean, she's now protecting the city as best as she can, and I really love that, she's trying to help him out and tell him how similar they are. I mean, there's this great scene where she's basically telling him how much the world doesn't really care, and I thought it was this fantastic scene. They have amazing chemistry in the movie, and I thought they worked fantastic together. They were great. I loved their scenes together. Tom Hardy is Bane. A lot of people made fun of Tom Hardy when this movie came out, and that's understandable why we would make fun of Bane. I mean, let's look at him in Batman and Robin. I mean, we go from this purple retarded creature that just goes like, bombs, bombs, to this very powerful villain. I mean, Bane is probably the greatest challenge that Batman's ever had. I mean, if we really examine it, he's probably bigger than the Joker, honestly. He is, because what Bane wants to do is create an all-out war, and he's not only against Batman, he's against everyone in this movie, and he starts this whole war and everything. He has some amazing speeches in the movie, and he's just so powerful. He's one of those figures that, like, you could just listen to Bane speak, and Tom Hardy just did a fantastic job in this movie. I think this is one of Tom Hardy's breakout roles. He was already a fantastic actor, but this is by far one of Tom Hardy's best performances. He was fantastic in this movie, and he really just did such a great job. He was amazing, really, he was. I thought he did a great job, and especially to see how far we've come from just what we got in Batman and Robin to this is just fantastic. It really is great how they did that. Marion Cotillard plays the love interest Miranda Tate, and I love that she was so much more the love interest in this movie. I don't want to get to the twist with her character. I'll talk about it in the spoilers, but not really replacing Rachel, but she still did a very good job in this movie. She was fantastic. Really, she was. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is another addition to this movie, John Blake, and he's one of the most important parts of this movie by far. He did a fantastic job, really. You really see how good of a cop he was, how much he wanted to help out, and one of my favorite scenes by far, he goes to Bruce Wayne, tells him the impact that Batman had on him, and how much of a hero he is, and how much it's changed Gotham, and I really love that about his character, and you really see how much he wants to be like Bruce, and he tries to be the hero that Bruce was, and I absolutely love that about his character. He did a fantastic job, and the way they ended things with his character I thought was perfect. And Morgan Freeman's great as well. Everyone is fantastic in this movie. Again, just like the other two movies, nobody gives a bad performance. Everyone is amazing. Really, they are. It's fantastic. The directing by Christopher Nolan, he actually directed this movie in a different way than the first two movies, which I actually really like, because as I said, this movie's a lot more emotional. It plays a lot more with the idea of Bruce Wayne having to, realize how great of a hero he really was. If you remember at the end of Dark Knight, he really wasn't sure if he was a hero or not. He wasn't. He pretty much thought that he caused all this to happen, and he did a fantastic job directing this movie. I mean, this movie goes from it starts out very quiet, and it's another movie that just builds and builds, and he did a fantastic job directing that. The tension in this movie is great, the emotion, and it really just what Christopher Nolan did in these movies is just fantastic. And Christopher Nolan actually didn't want to return for this movie. He was hesitant to do it, but he finally did. And thank God he did, because he ended it with a bang. Really, he did. It was fantastic. The screenplay is probably the best screenplay we've had to this series. I mean, it's such an emotional screenplay, really. Everyone gets standout scenes in this movie, and if you love the characters in this movie like I do, you're probably gonna cry. There are some scenes where I got a little teary-eyed. I did. There really were, and I thought they were very, very well handled. Terrific performances from everyone. The screenplay was just so good, and it was probably the perfect way to end the series. Really, it was. The cinematography, once again, it's again probably the best of the series. It's all shot, it's, all the scenes, just like the last movie, they're shot with IMAX cameras when they need to be, and I thought that was perfectly handled. And the cinematography is very gripping. Right from the prologue to the end, you are hooked with the cinematography. And again, it kind of becomes its own character. By the way, it's by far the loudest movie in the series. Like, if you want to watch a very loud movie, watch this movie. It's fucking loud. Like, I couldn't hear I couldn't hear a single thing besides this movie. I couldn't even hear my parents, like, calling me. It's one of those movies where you're like, I can't hear you, I gotta shout. Like, it's one of those kind of movies. And I just thought the cinematography was fantastic in this movie. Really, I had a great time with it. The score by Hans Zimmer, obviously, is fantastic. It's great. And the action sequences, by far, are some of the best, I think, ever. Really. They are mind-blowing action sequences. The second half of this movie, especially, when you find out what Bane's plan is to basically, turn the world, turn the world into a war zone, and everyone starts turning against each other, and there's like a bomb that's gonna detonate. I mean, the tension in this movie and the stakes were so much higher. It's much like The Dark Knight, where the stakes are so much higher in this movie, and I absolutely love the way they handled it. They handled it perfectly, and it was very well handled, I have to say. And also the editing. The movie really flew by. This is the longest movie in the series, and it flew by for me like that. I'm like, wow, I'm already like an hour into this movie. Then it was like an hour and 20 minutes. I mean, it felt like it was only like an hour to me, really. And I love it about this movie. I thought that was awesome. I thought that was very well handled. And again, this movie has a very realistic tone to it, and I really thought that was perfect, I have to say. I thought the realistic tone was very well handled, definitely. And now we're getting into spoilers for The Dark Knight Rises, which this movie by far has the biggest spoilers out of all three movies. If you've not seen The Dark Knight Rises, watch it right now. If you've seen Batman Begins and The Dark Knight and you haven't seen Dark Knight Rises, watch it. It's amazing. It's a fantastic conclusion to the series, and it's a masterpiece. It really is. So, okay. So there's a lot to talk about, definitely, in the spoilers, because a lot actually happens, of course. So the first thing, of course, we have to get to is that Miranda Tate is actually Talia al Ghul, and that was an amazing twist. I thought they did a very good job with that. I remember there was actually a very controversial twist when it first came out. A lot of people thought that was a really dumb twist, the way they handled it. I thought they handled it really, really well. I mean, it perfectly makes sense why she got so close to Bruce Wayne and everything, just to turn against him. I thought they really handled that in a very good way, and it was very well done, definitely, because the movie got even bigger than that, and it really worked very well. I mean, it was crazy after that, and I love the way they handled it. Really, it was very well done. With the way they did that. And also the fight scene between Bane and Bruce, of course, was awesome. I thought they did a very good job with that. And Selina, when she killed Bane, and she basically said, "Oh yeah, that rule about guns, yeah, I don't agree to that." And I thought that was really funny when she said that. That was just awesome. Selina was such a badass in this movie. So the way the movie ended, I thought was awesome. Really, I thought it was a perfect ending. I know a lot of people actually do have some problems with the ending, but just think about it. It's everything Alfred wanted for Bruce. I mean, Bruce and Selina are now together without Alfred knowing. He goes to that restaurant, and it's what he wanted to see. He sees Bruce with Selina. They're together, and nobody knows. And I like that he protected that identity. It's kind of like what Rachel said to him, that the world really doesn't need Batman anymore. And now that Batman's gone, he can finally settle down with someone. And if Rachel was alive, that's what would have happened. Now that Selina's there, he's with Selina, and I thought they handled that perfectly. Really, it's everything Bruce ever wanted. He took care of his city, he did what he had to do, and I thought they really handled that very well. And then, of course, when Lucius discovers that Bruce had fixed the Bat's autopilot, I thought that was very well done. I mean, they know, and I like that some of the characters know that he's alive and know what he did. Because, he's presumed dead to everyone else. They even have a funeral for him, but they know that he's alive, but they're not obviously going to tell everyone because the world just simply doesn't need Batman anymore. And the way the movie ends with, John basically resigning from the police force and then calling himself Robin, that was awesome because the one thing Christopher Nolan said he would never do is do Robin, and that was a big fuck you to Batman Robin. This movie does a lot of that. I mean, the opening credits, for example, in Batman and Robin when the thing like shattered, which in my opinion was like the shattering of the Batman series. That's what that was supposed to mean. That is a fuck. In this movie, they do it again. It's like a fuck you to Batman Robin, and that was hilarious. I love the way they do that. But John going into the Batcave and basically becoming Robin, I thought was the perfect way to end the series, really. And I like that he was very subtle, the way he became Robin. They did it in a very good way, definitely. They handled it very well, and I really loved it, I have to say. I couldn't have thought of a better way to handle that. Really, I couldn't have thought of a better way. So overall, guys, I absolutely love The Dark Knight Rises. It's a fantastic conclusion to, by far, the best trilogy ever. I mean, really, this was the best trilogy ever. And really, if you think about it, the reason this is such a great trilogy is because it's so amazing how Christopher Nolan was able to take this from a simple comic book movie and turn it into so much more realistic story about wounded characters and compelling characters and realistic characters, and took it from the Batman movies to characters that we all know. I mean, we all know someone on a police force. We all know people like this, and a wounded city and things like that. And they handled it perfectly in this movie, and that's one of the reasons why I absolutely love The Dark Knight Rises. The impact that these movies had on superhero movies was huge. I mean, the Man of Steel, for example, tried to be like The Dark Knight. And actually, something that's very interesting is that a lot of people don't like The Dark Knight Rises. They think it's too long. They think it's too... And I think the reason is because it's just so different from the first two movies. It really is a very different movie. It goes from this, really sad movie to this really big, epic movie with tons of action going on. But they're both great movies. It really feels like... I actually read an article that says it might have worked better as two different movies. No, I don't think that way at all. I think it works perfectly as one movie. It really feels like a journey, really. This movie feels like you really came full circle with all the characters, and that's one of the best things a trilogy should do. Especially because the third movie. A third movie in a series usually sucks, and this is probably the second best, and I absolutely love that about this movie. But the other thing I definitely do want to say about this, of course, is just the way, the Man of Steel, as I said, tried to be like the Dark Knight trilogy, and it really didn't work because Superman doesn't need to be that dark. The reason that it works with Batman is because Batman's suffering all these personal demons and going through all these personal things, and that's why it works so well for Batman. It really got into his head and things like that. We really saw a lot more darker things for Batman. He had a lot of problems to deal with, and that's why it works so well. And I really, really hope that the new Batman v Superman really retains all the darkness and realistic stuff that this movie had, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how they do with that, because after Batman, I really hope that they know what a good Batman is. This is what Batman should be, not Batman and Robin with bat nipples and things like that, not that either, not even the first two Batmans. This is what I want to see in a Batman movie. The first two Batmans are still not what Batman should be. This is what Batman should be, and it's always what it should have been, and I hope that they continue that when we go to, of course, the when they go to the Batman v Superman. I hope they have what this movie had. But that's it, my review. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys saw this movie. You have seen it. I will see you guys next week, which will be for another classic movie review, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.